بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. It is Tuesday, the 30th of August 2022, and in our series Reflections on the Holy Quran, this is broadcast number 352. These days we are discussing verse 103 of chapter 2 of the Holy Quran, Al-Baqarah, and this is our sixth broadcast in looking at the words of this verse of the year of the Holy Quran. These broadcasts are brought to you by Laser, Lahore Abdiya School of Education in Religion, and this is a branch of Ahmadiyya Anjuman Ishaq-e-Islam. The Ahmadiyya movement was established by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, who taught us that despite the fact that others say that another prophet will come after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, this is incorrect, because the Holy Quran says that the Holy Prophet was Khatamun Nabiyyin, and the Holy Prophet explained that by saying, La Nabiya Ba'di, there is no prophet after me. So now no prophet can come. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's claim was that in accordance with the Hadith, like other people before him, he was a Mujaddid. And Mujaddids had gone before him. He also said that the Hadith speak of a Messiah and Mahdi. And these were titles for a specific Mujaddid, which was him. So this is why we say Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, Mujaddid of the 14th century, the promised Messiah and Mahdi. This gave rise to a difference of opinion, and unfortunately Muslims started calling Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad and Ahmadis heretics, kafirs, because of this difference of opinion. And Hazrat Sahib explained that in Hadith, the Holy Prophet Muhammad says that if one reciter of the Kalima says to another reciter of the Kalima that you're not a Muslim, then this decree of heresy returns and falls upon the person issuing it. So people should not call each other heretics and kafirs and so on. And he also said that people believe that some prophetic revelation was missed out from the Holy Quran, and that some that is in the Holy Quran is abrogated. And he said this is completely wrong. All prophetic revelation that the Holy Prophet Muhammad received is in the Holy Quran, and nothing that is in the Holy Quran is abrogated. And further, he said that jihad is a duty of every Muslim. But jihad as defined by the Holy Prophet Muhammad not by some sheikh in some seminary and so on. And upon returning from fighting, the Holy Prophet said that Muslims are returning from Jihad-e-Asghar, the minor jihad, to Jihad-e-Akbar, the major jihad, and then went on to explain that the major jihad is jihad bin nafs. That is a struggle, a jihad with your own self, with your own soul, with your own desires. No greed and anger and hatred and a thousand others that you know. So let us turn to the verse of the Holy Quran that we're going to speak about, verse 103. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولو أنهم آمنوا واتقوا لمثوبة من عند الله خير لو كانوا يعلمون. And if they had believed and kept their duty, the reward from Allah would certainly have been better. Did they but know? So today we are going to look at the use of the last word, ya'lamun, of this verse. And then tomorrow we'll move on to chapter verse 104, where the next section starts. So let's have a look at my notes on my computer. The root of ya'lamun is Ain Lam Mim. And this root occurs in the Holy Quran 854 times in 14 forms. Most frequently, that is 382 times, we have Alima. And 163 times, we have Alim. And 105 times, we have the noun Ilm. And 73 times, we have the noun Alameen. And 49 times, Aqatlam. And 41 times, Allama. And 18 times, Alim. And 11 times, Ma'alum. And then others are once, twice, 3 times, and so on. Some of these words are commonly used in Urdu as well. Ilm, Alim, Ali, Malum, and so on. And what has happened is that in Urdu we take a restricted meaning of the Arabic word, and then we sort of start arguing about the fact that that is the only meaning of the word. The basic meaning of this word is that something, some sign, using which you recognize something, which distinguishes whatever it is from other things, especially others of the same kind. So this is to learn about something, find out about something, know about something with certainty. And that's the important thing. So this is why that, it says that whatever it is we're looking at, there are some distinguishing marks. You can talk about people. If someone can't remember a person, you'll say, the one, who had this mark on his face, who had a mustache or whatever. So something, some indicator that will trigger your memory. So the person who sets out to find information about something is called aliman. And you also have aliman, and the plural of alim is ulama, the scholars. And literally it means those who have definite knowledge of something. And it's interesting that this is the basic meaning is that it is some kind of a mark that allows you to distinguish that thing from everything else, to recognize something. And the Quran repeatedly speaks of Muslims reflecting upon the Holy Quran and reflecting upon the creation. So, and the creation is also called alim. We have Rabbil Alameen, Rabb of all the creation. Alameen is the plural of alim. So you can say that things which are created are signs, are markers from which you can recognize Allah. And this is why God puts so much stress on trying to learn about the creation. The human beings and the animals and the plants and everything else. You see, what happens is that you have one type of knowledge which is certain, which comes to us through Wahi. And we have other type of knowledge, which is based on our own research and so on. Now, some of it may be definite, like Newton lying under an apple tree and an apple falls, and he starts thinking, why did that apple come down? Why do things come down? Why don't they fly off into space? And he comes to this conclusion that there is a force in the earth that is pulling everything to it. So he sees a sign. He studies something, and that is a sign that leads us to the Creator. Now, generally we can learn things in three ways, and that is by listening and by seeing. And although in literary words people say through the hearts, certainly in Arabic and Urdu, I would suggest a better way to express that is through our intellect, because that intellect is where we have perceptual knowledge, where we have conceptual knowledge, and so on. For example, if someone dies, we say, his heart is sad and so on, but really, it is our brain that is sad. Although there are consequences of brain's sadness. Your heart might begin to race. You might get palpitations. It's some sad event. Someone has passed away or something. And that causes your eyes for tears to flow from your eyes. Your eyes fill up with water. But that doesn't mean to say that it's the eyes that feel the pain. It is your intellect, it is your brain that feels the pain. And everything else that goes with it, like your eyes becoming tearful and your heart begin to race and so on. They're all the physical signs of your brain feeling something. And this is where you get concepts as well. People come up with ideas. Now, what you must remember is that there is a difference between ilm, which is certain knowledge which is gained through wahi, and concepts. You observe something and you think, why did that happen? And then you come up with some explanation. Like Newton, why did the apple fall down? Why didn't it fly off into the air? Oh, yes, I know. There must be some force, we call gravity, that is pulling the apple and other things towards it. This is why things don't fly off into space. So that concept, that idea, explains something. But we don't have certain knowledge. Certain knowledge is the knowledge that God gives us through revelation. And this is what I say to people. There is a theory of evolution. There is many other theories. Einstein's theory of relativity. They're all theories. Just like Newton thinking, why did that apple fall? Oh, Earth must possess a force that pulls it. Darwin observed something and he said, how could this have come about? And then he said, well, if a long time ago this happened, then after that happened, then something else happened, we would have ended up here. He may be right, he may be wrong. And people then develop these theories, They say, okay, if this is correct, then if you do an experiment, we should observe this. And if they observe it, they say, fine. If they don't observe it, they say, we need to change the theory. But it is a theory. It is a possible explanation. It's like, to give you one example, at one stage, they had what used to be called the current bund model of the atom. And that was, it was thought that the atom was like a bun and the electrons were like currants that were stuck on top of the bun. Now, okay, the result of that is that if that is the case, if you throw something because it is solid, it should bounce back. So I think it was Rutherford who did some experiments. He fired some small particles, I think maybe they were electrons, at atoms. But he noticed to his surprise, these atoms didn't bounce back. If atom was a solid, those electrons should have bounced back, but they didn't. They appeared to go through. So this theory, the atomic theory, had to be modified. And he said, right, so the atom is not a solid. Yes, it has a nucleus, that's fine. And maybe neutrons and protons are stuck together in the nucleus, that's fine. But the electrons, they're orbiting the nucleus in the same way as planets orbit the sun. Now, this is a simplified form. Okay, so you can see it was a theory. An experiment was done, and the theory was found to be defective, so it had to be modified. It's not certain knowledge. People talk about nature of light as being particles, but then they talk about light as being waves. People talk about electrons as being particles, and then they also talk about electrons as being waves. Because in different places, you say, well, if electrons are waves, it explains this. But then it doesn't explain something else. Oh, well, if they're particles, that is explained. So they came up with a wave-particle duality for the nature of light and so on. The point I'm making is that this is very important knowledge that we gain about how the universe is operating. But it is not definite. We are constantly improving upon it. The only definite knowledge that we have is the Holy Quran. But the other thing is this: we shouldn't say whether a theory is Islamic or un-Islamic, etc. It's a possible explanation. If it turns out to be correct, it is Islamic. If it turns out that it's not correct, it's not Islamic. But the point is to gain knowledge, to do research. Because God says, these are signs. Signs of what? Signs of there being a creator. The more knowledge we gain, the more certain we can be that there is a creator. We've slightly gone over our time. Before I end, I want to request you to pray for Pakistan and people of Pakistan. 3/4 or 3 out of the 4 provinces of Pakistan have been suffering severe floods due to global warming and so on, and a huge number of people have lost everything they had. There are many appeals, so if you can, please contribute to those appeals. Our Jamaat in Pakistan has also made an appeal, and they're also trying to help people as much as they can. And generally pray that Allah keeps the whole of humanity safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum. Khuda Hafiz. Goodbye.